Good to be here.
Hello and welcome to the Women's Wisdom Circle. Again, we are from all over the world. Here I am in Canada and welcome Bridget in New Zealand on her boat, Tamara in Berlin, and Deborah in, where are you? In Colorado, in Pueblo, Colorado, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Great. Okay, I'm really glad that some of you could make it with all these challenges this week that I had, And I was just kind of starting a conversation with Bridget, about technology and the paid technology. And I suspect that the reason why this thing didn't work for me is that I'm not using a paid technology. I'm not using Webinar Jam, and they still haven't figured out how to make the correct changes. So we have another free technology, and I'm quite grateful for that. Okay. And I wanted to say a few things, maybe as an introduction about what I am realizing in my own kind of journey of personal transformation, is how much this latest change for me and coming back into Canada and reintegrating Canada is more difficult than I thought. And I'm coming from 4 months being by myself in France, where I could do things at my pace, and here I'm having to deal with people. I'm not alone, like when you're alone, it's very easy to do the inner work, And I have been like a nutcase multitasking, really multitasking. And last week, I was on a call with Dawn Clark. I'm doing a course, Life Design 360, which I really like. And this is a feminine energy, which is quite different from taking courses, with male energies. And she was showing us like a video, and the latest research, which date from 2009 about multitasking, and they have discovered that people multitasking are really not productive, compared to the ones who do only one thing at a time. So that was like a big wake-up call, and I've been trying to do everything faster and better, so I could still do the stuff that are meaningful to me, that I want to do. But when I saw this kind of research, it was like, oh my God, I've got to shift gears totally and radically. Okay, totally and radically. And the other thing that I've been kind of very much in tune with is the work that Elaine Dufty is doing with the priestess presence. And she is bringing in a new archetype, which she calls the sovereign queen. So it's like, and this rings a bell for me, how can we become sovereign queens and for me, what that made, what I saw is like, really like shifting out of that patriarchal kind of mind frame, where as women for a long time, a lot of us have been like second in command, the executor, and we have to step into a new form of leadership, a leadership from the heart. And we all know that this is the leadership that is required in the world right now, but get out of those domination structures. And this is really something that has been coming up a lot for me, and I've realized how those outdated patterns still with my judgments, because I'm living in a multicultural family here, where everything is different from my standards, like I have very high standards, and it's like I'm trying to cope, and I've been trying to handle everything at once, which is impossible. I know that. Okay, so this was all coming at me, and the technology at the same time was just like, whew, that was too much. But I said, no way, I'm going to get this thing going, because this is also what I saw is like, very often I allow things which I cannot control to victimize me, and then I'm definitely not in a leadership position, and everything is kind of is not working. So that's the transformation that I have been going through this whole week, where this leadership, this feminine leadership, is so important in the world right now, and we've got to come out and speak out whatever it is that we each have to bring to the table. Each of us has a piece of the puzzle, you know. It's not and we're never going to be perfect, you know. I mean, I've accepted that for a long time, that I will never be perfect, and I've also accepted that I might never get this whole thing done the way I ideally envision it for myself, you know, this online presence. And but I might get started and somebody else might carry on. So, or some other people might join. I don't know yet, but it's instead of always kind of comparing myself to what I haven't done yet, it's just like, there's been a shift anyway. So, and daring to speak about it has been helpful. So I appreciate you being here and hearing me out. And perhaps, like we always do, maybe we do a little centering meditation, and then you listen in and you resonate with whatever it is that is emerging based on, you know, on what we are talking about here, you know. So let's just close our eyes for a few short minutes and taking a few deep breaths together. Breath in, full breath out. Another deep breath in, followed by a breath out. And one more deep breath in, full exhale. And taking a moment to connect to the larger wisdom that we are all part of, the larger field of life, our connection to the stars, to the moon, because it's full moon today, and beyond, the immensity that we belong to. And grounding that awareness into where we belong in the first place, the earth plane. Just imagining that we are connected to the center of the earth and becoming like antennas, with our heads connected to the star, like really like our ears listening into the earth and out in space. And allowing that connection to the larger field of life to resonate deep into our heart. And using that connection in our circle to send energy through the right hand, through the world. And being receptive to the energy coming in through our left hand. Just taking a moment to listen in to what is resonating respectively in our heart. And what we would like to contribute to the conversation of global transformation. Since nothing will change outside unless we do the inner work and we change inside. Those dysfunctional structures that exist in the world got to be transformed first on the inner plane, within our heart. And one single person who does that work has an immense impact in the area of their residence. It impacts the field. So at times we might think we are a small little speck, and we might indeed be compared to the immensity. But every bit of work that we do on ourselves counts and increases the potential of transformation for the whole. Taking another second, gradually listen in to the heart, to what resonates and wants to emerge through the wisdom of our circle. And taking another deep breath in, gradually coming back to the virtual room that we occupy together right now. And whenever you're ready, at your own pace, coming back to normal consciousness and opening your eyes, and whenever ready, let's just begin our conversation. The other things that I wanted to share, perhaps as at the start, and is that everywhere that I am connected to and participating in, and this is the Gaiam TV has a lot of programs that I've been participating in and listening on a weekly basis for the last year and a half almost, on the disclosure process, ancient aliens, and the lies we have been told about the presence of other civilizations in the larger field of life, outside of the Earth. And there's a lot of credible information. I cannot, but I've never really spoken about it publicly, but you need to check it out. That's all I want to say. Like, it's on Gaiam TV. It really is worthwhile to know about it. And what it has done for me, knowing about this information, is seeing the degree to which we have been enslaved in a certain mindset, and enslaved in a certain way of doing things. So when you realize that we've been lied to such a degree, it's like it kind of makes you reassess everything about your life. So that is one thing. And the other thing that I wanted to share is the importance that we have for the global shift to staying in compassion. That's really what is required right now, to be in compassion for ourselves and for other people who might be totally still in the patterns and everything, and we still all have this job to do on ourselves. I'm sure, I'm not the only one processing my own patterns and my own fractal issues. So that's what I also wanted to add to what I would like to bring to the conversation, and see what you want to bring to that, yourself, what is present for you in all that. Bridget, would you like to?
Well, I would, and I've been reading historical romance recently because I love history, and I'm an incurable romantic, Tony. And so I've been reading a story written by Diana Gabaldon, and it's about people who travel back into the past and try and change the future.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm conscious of all the way through this is that despite their best efforts, and I know it's only a story, but they cannot change the future. And what that brings to me is the need for us to actually accept that everything is perfect as it is.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is perfect. And I heard you say, Elaine, I will never be perfect. And you are perfect exactly as you are. You are perfect. And that's the compassion that you need to bring, or you have the opportunity to bring to yourself, to understand that I am perfect exactly as I am. And this is perfect, because without the journey that we're making, we will arrive at a place and we won't recognize it.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, it's the compassion is towards myself, and saying I am perfect exactly as I am.
Mm-hmm.
This journey that I am doing, I need to make.
Mm-hmm.
And if I don't make it, then I stay stuck. And if I think that I need to be different right now, I can accept that I am on a journey, but not that I need to be different right now. Because my journey is about knowing that everything is perfect as it is, because the learning that I need to do is I can only do it if I am in this place right now.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So for me, that's
appreciate you saying that, because I still have old languaging, even though I have been on that in that process for the last few months, very consciously, especially since I was in France, to be compassionate and accepting of what is and not pushing myself. But the languaging, which is part of the patterns, the old patterns, is still coming out that way. That's, it makes me be conscious of that. So appreciate that. So one more thing to notice and to accept it's just perfect the way it is right now.
It is perfect. And that language is so important, because the words we use to describe our world are the world in which we live.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
yes.
When we change the words we use to describe our world, we change our world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes.
Right. For me, it's that simple. It's and I'm not saying I'm not saying I don't have lots of learning to do at all. I have massive amounts of learning to do, but the words I use to describe my world are the world that I live in, and the words I use to describe other people, my soul hears and thinks I'm talking about myself. And so when it hears those words, and it thinks I'm talking about myself. So damaging words about other people damage my soul.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That projection. Yes. And we are just one, really,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So I would like to just piggyback on what Bridget is saying, because it reminded me of what I read this morning from the Abraham message from Esther Hicks.
Mm-hmm.
And when I read it, Elaine, I thought of you. So it's very short. If you are ending up where you want to be, what difference does it make whether you went fast or slow? Or what difference does it make whether it was painful before it got really good? Isn't that the point of free will? You get to choose. And when I read that, I thought about our conversation on Monday and how we're constantly talking about where we are now versus where we want to be, instead of being in the flow and being in well-being just where we are right now, and saying this is the pace. And I have to be reminded of that constantly, because one of the things that I have a tendency to do is to say I've got my timeline and I expect everybody else to meet me in my timeline instead of being in a situation where I can feel comfortable with where I am right at this moment. And maybe it's not all working out just as I had set it up. And when I let go of that and remind myself to just say, okay, what's coming is something that I don't know how to predict, and yet it's going to be something that's going to be beneficial. So I really need to work from that standpoint. And when I do that, it just makes a big difference. So I just wanted to share that.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, definitely. Yes. Everything is all right the way it is, right? And yes. And what triggered all this kind of frenzy for me is I had been working on setting up a new set of intentions, you know. It was like this combined with what my reality looked like. It was like, it is never going to work, you know. Something's got to shift there, you know. Either I go by myself in a cabin in the woods, or something else, you know. So I just got to shift my attitude about it. That's what I see, you know.
Elaine, you just said you were setting up a new frame of intentions. Talk a little bit more about that, because for me, I live in intention. I mean, that's where my intention is to live according to the things that are important to me, my values, and basically my values in the world I want to live in. So intention is very, very powerful. Mm-hmm. It's when intention becomes driven, yeah, rather than pulling. So when we set a powerful intention, for me it feels like it's a guider. It's guiding my actions and my thinking and my thoughts. When it becomes a set of outcomes that must be achieved at all odds, then it's in contradiction of that for me. And because I think intention is very powerful.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. And what I mean is, like, I had not looked at my intention, you know, like, and even though they're always there. And then I kind of decided, okay, now, you know, let me just at least look at where I'm at in terms of relationship to where I'm going, you know, like my intention. And this is especially in relationship to what I want to do in my business, you know, and the people I want to help. So it's in relationship to that, I have a new client, which is quite young actually, and doesn't really know much, you know. Usually when I'm talking to people like you, you know what I know already, you know. It's like there's not much teaching to be doing. There's more undoing to be doing. So I was really like very motivated to create some structures based on that intention with that specific person in mind, you know, like a person who don't know much, you know, and that fits totally in my larger intention of the women in the third world that have not access to technology that I would like to help. And right now it's an intention that I have, and an intention that I had a chance to work on when I was in Saudi Arabia, when I was working with women who didn't know all the stuff that I know. You know, I was able to share, and it really kind of made me fulfilled, even though I was doing all those things free. So now I am, given that work that I'm doing with that specific person, I kind of looked at my intentions in relationship to my business, you know, and putting things in a different structure. And that's kind of what has triggered my frustration, that, you know, I have all these other things that's going on in this last week, you know. So you can correct me if I have said some things. I'm totally fine with that.
I would like to bring one additional. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I would like to bring one additional thing to what you were saying. So between intention and present moment, these two topics came up, and I find it myself being always on the edge between intention and the present moment. And once I started to accept this place, I started to feel much more in the right place, like accepting being on the edge, that none of these places actually are worse or better or better, but it's simply it's important to have intention. It's a very big part of our life, but as well as being in the present moment, and just switching between those two places, it's kind of a dance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, beautifully said. Yes, that's right. Yeah. And what I want to add about the present moment, it's the only time where you can make any changes, you know, in the present moment. And you know, when I come back to your novel, what you were sharing about going into the past to change the future, I believe it's only in the moment that you can change the past so that the future can be different, you know? That's kind of, the transformation only happens in the moment.
Yes, I'm feeling a little I'm not quite sure. So for me, my intention is to live according to my values, and that's the whole of it, I think. Now, and so my values direct my actions in the present moment, and I found that shift from having intentions that become goals or outcomes or something else other than this intention to live according to my personal values and to honor those in all of my actions, then they transform in some way, and I become trapped by them in needing to achieve the goal or the outcome or whatever it is. So that in that moment, they, as I say, they transform. My intention transforms into something that I used to recognize as and say, you know, we've got to have these goals and these you know, aim for outcomes. The only outcome I'm looking for now is that my life is lived according to my values. And then no matter where I get to, Deborah, you know, no matter how I, you know, no matter where I journey, I have journeyed according to those things. And then I've changed my world. That's, so I just, yeah, I felt I needed to say that because that's for me, it's been so transformational because it has allowed me to no longer be driven. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point, you know. And I just want to say that I have a meeting coming up. In 10 minutes, this thing will end because I haven't paid the upgrade unlimited minutes. So I'm just reading my screen right now, okay? So we'll have to conclude in 10 minutes. I'm sorry, okay? But that's the way it is until something else works, you know. So yeah, and my intention has to do with those shifts that I see are needed in the world, and they are my values. You know, the sustainability and the fact that I'm going to say stay with the free version. Annoys me, that thing. Okay, and the fact that more people need to wake up and to the reality of who they are, so that they can make an impact on their own world. Maybe it's not necessary, but this is part of my value. This is what kind of motivates me to do the things that I'm doing, you know, to help people become more conscious, to become aware, to become awake to who they are. That's part of my values. Those are really going hand in hand as far as I'm concerned, you know, becoming aware, awake, and shift the way we live, because it's not sustainable for the whole. So if I look at my values, this is what motivates my intentions, you know, all the time in different ways. So
yeah, I understand that, and the word I heard there was more people need to wake up. And when we use language like must and should and need and have to, what we're bringing in again is this other energy that says it's not perfect as it is.
yeah, appreciate that. Okay, that's a good reframe. Thank you. Mm-hmm.
It's for me, it's about reframing every time I find myself using this language that speaks to me about a world that I don't want to live in. You know, it's and the key words that I use are need, should, have to, and must. You know, those 4 words take us out of our ability to choose.
Mm-hmm.
And in the present moment, Tamara, you know, our ability to choose in the present moment, the intention to live according to our values and to do what we choose to do. Because and when you say other people need to wake up, what your soul hears is you need to wake up. And again, it's damaging to your soul,
Mm-hmm.
because your soul is wide awake and very present. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. Thanks. This is a good way of giving me back what I'm projecting here. Thanks you. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And what I've found with this is that I can be so gentle on myself now.
Mm.
It brings tears to my eyes thinking
Yes.
about it.
Mm.
I can be gentle on myself.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. It's interesting. I'll share a little story with you. We have only 4 minutes, but because I don't believe that money is important. Now, money is just money. It's just an energy. And my mother died in June, as some of you know. And what my sisters discovered is that my mother gave me a sum of money, and she didn't give the same amount to all my sisters. And I've been struggling with this for a long time. I knew my mother wanted to give me that money. She felt that the money she was giving me would make amends for the fact that she threw me out of home when I was just a young girl, still in my teens. And I knew that was why she needed to give it to me, and I accepted the money. My sisters, 3 of them, I have 4, 3 of them cannot accept that. They cannot accept it because they value money. And so I've been lately able to be grateful to my mother for giving me that money, because it allows me to see again that for me it was just energy she gave me to make up for some action she did in the past, and it allowed me to see really that, you know, actually it doesn't matter to me, but it does matter to others who see money as the valuable commodity in our world. Yeah. So a little story there.
Yeah.
But reframing all the time.
Yeah.
To allow us to live in peace.
Yeah, well, thank you for your reframing today. I appreciate that, you know. And what else you want to add? 2 minutes we have, ladies, for the free version before we get shut up.
Well, I just wanted to say that with the issue of money, I have come to the conclusion that what I have is fulfilling my needs. I don't need more. And I had a wake-up call this year, and I find myself making statements that I've never made before, like, well, you know, if we don't get this now, it's not going to go into our coffin with us, so we might as well just get it and enjoy it while we have the time to do that. And if it's reasonable, why not? And I think that we really have to look at the abundance that's around us. Somebody asked me the other day if I had abundance in my life, and I said I have an enormous amount of abundance in my life. And I wasn't talking about the money. I was talking about the connections that I have, and my family connections, and our children. And it is much more than just a dollar figure.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm afraid we're going to get shut up very soon. So in case we do, I just want to say how grateful I am that you could make it and be present on that full moon. And let's see how the technology will continue to either support us or challenge us so that we can face the challenges and still manage to talk, you know. 40 minutes instead of an hour then, you know. So if you want to say something until we go blank, maybe we started a few minutes later, you know, so just wanted to express my gratitude for whoever came.
Thank you for arranging this for us, for being there and setting this with all technology issues.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alina. And it's great to be back connected. When you're in Europe, it's really hard because usually I'm asleep when you're having the calls.
I know it's challenging to find a time that works, you know, for New Zealand, North America, East Coast, West Coast, Europe, you know. I mean, except you, Tamara, nobody is on from Europe, you know, so it's
right.
Nobody have, you know, except.
Oh, okay, wow.
Yeah. Well, we have a representative at least from every continent, not every, but almost every continent. So that's
right.
That's great.
Yeah. Well, I want to wish everyone well and health as we go from the full moon to the new moon.
Yeah.
Thank you, Deborah.
And to the fall equinox also coming up, which is also a very powerful kind of portal on the 21st, you know. So yes, we are in big time